We are joined by President Joe Biden. I want to show you a video of Lauren Boebert.
Why are we passing this so-called Inflation Reduction Act?
I mean, the things they're saying are just off the wall.
I'm Ben Meiselas from the MeidasTouch Network. We are joined by President Joe Biden. Mr. President, it is such an honor.
Well, you're doing a great job. You know, sometimes, in my view, the best politics is truth. You're telling the truth.
Truth is golden is our slogan. I've heard you say, don't compare me to the Almighty. Compare me to the alternative. So we're here in Pueblo, Colorado. Gave an incredible speech. We're at the CS Wind Turbine Factory, the largest wind turbine factory in the world. We were talking about the Inflation Reduction Act and jobs being brought to cities and communities across the United States of America and here in Pueblo. And the MAGA Republican representative, though, of Pueblo, Colorado is MAGA Republican Lauren Boebert. And she gives the alternative position there on the Inflation Reduction Act. And she says that the Inflation Reduction Act is a massive failure. And she said that it is another con by the Democrats. If I can, I want to show you a video of MAGA Republican Lauren Boebert talking. I apologize in advance for even showing this to you, but.
And it does the exact opposite of what Americans need right now. This is just another con game by the Democrats, calling something one thing and saying another.
Expired.
This is making the IRS, which
Gentlewoman's time has expired.
The Pentagon, the State Department,
Gentlewoman is no longer recognized. The gentleman from Missouri reserves the ballot.
Mr. Speaker, how much time do you need?
The gentlewoman is no longer recognized.
I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. If it weren't so important to be humorous, what you call a massive failure, the only massive failure occurs in their thinking. The idea that in our own district, we've created so many new good paying jobs. And by the way, it's generating economic growth across the board. And when people get a good job, what they do is they have an opportunity to spend on things that they're basic needs for themselves. And by the way, we cut the deficit by $7 billion in that first year, okay? The idea that she's talking about this being a massive failure, I don't get it. I don't know whether they just don't understand anything or whether or not they in fact are, I hope she comes back here and tells the people in this factory, the largest wind turbine factory in the world, that this is a massive failure. It's our district. Invite her to come back. Come back and tell the folks back home this is a massive failure. Tell the folks back home that all that we've done to generate economic growth is not worth it. And I'd like to ask her to explain how she supports not taxing billionaires more than 8%. I have trouble explaining it. But then again, I probably shouldn't waste my time trying to.
What do you make of just the MAGA Republican influence over the Republican Party in general with she's saying that she's ultra MAGA?
You know, we are addressed as MAGA extremists, extreme MAGA Republicans. And I would like to make just a clarification point. It's ultra MAGA.
She's ultra MAGA, all right. Look, for years I served in the Senate. Some of my closest friends, and that's not hyperbole, were people I disagreed with, Republicans. There are 7 Republicans still in the United States Senate who come up to me since I've been president and say, Joe, I agree with you, but if I vote with you at all, I'm going to be primary to lose my election. There's a lot of really solid people. But this makes up, I don't know, what, 35%, 30% of the Republican Party? There's a lot of really decent, honorable conservatives who move from a position of trying to figure out how they can do the most for the most people in a way that's fair to everybody. But she's clearly not one of them.
So the MeidasTouch supporters, the people who watch our network, call themselves the Meidas Mighty. We here at the MeidasTouch Network say that we're unapologetically pro-democracy. What's your message to the Meidas Mighty out there and those watching right now who fear for our democracy and who just care about our democracy?
You know, I made a speech in Independence Hall saying that our democracy is at risk. And even the press said, what are you talking about? Well, guess what? The vast majority of the American people thought it was too. the idea that they have a former president who may be their nominee saying that he thinks they should be able to essentially walk away from the Constitution. He should be, I mean, the things they're saying are just off the wall. And it's, and we better step up. I taught at the University of Pennsylvania for 4 years, and I also taught at law school. And the idea that democracy is inevitable is just not true. It's under siege, and we have to put a stamp of democracy on everything we do.
Absolutely. And GDP was revised up to 5.2%.
Yeah, two things. America has been the strongest and most vibrant when we've built from the middle out and the bottom up. When the wealthy still do very well, the poor have a shot, and the middle class builds this country. Well, what's happening now is it's all this trickle-down economics, and they've even gone way beyond what they usually do, making sure the people who should be paying more in taxes. Look, the highest tax rate's about 36 to 37%. We're not talking 90%. The idea is someone making $1 billion a year pays 8.5%. It's outrageous. And they're defending these things. We are the most prosperous nation in the world. Our economy is stronger than any other nation in the world. And we have more freedom up until this group came along. But what's at stake now is freedom, not just freedom of choice. You know, the idea that a young girl who's been raped in Ohio has to sneak out of the state.
How do you ban abortion? How do you actually do it?
Well, you know, you'll go back to a position like they had where people will perhaps go to illegal places.
Yeah.
But you have to ban it.
Do you believe believe in punishment for abortion? Yes or no, as a principle?
The answer is that there has to be some form of punishment.
For the woman?
Yeah, there has to be some form.
Well, I'm the one that got rid of Roe v. Wade.
I never thought I'd see it get this dangerous and this bad, but it is. We have to put a stamp on democracy. Unrelated to me, we've got to stand up for our freedoms.
Well, thank you, Mr. President. We saw the Bidenomics working right here in Pueblo, Colorado. I got to speak to the workers, and I want to thank you for everything that you're doing for our democracy.
Thank you, man.
Appreciate you.
American people are doing it.